wake up and realize I had it all.
Hey, how you doing today? Welcome to another episode of Open Doors. It's your boy, Chris Harris. I'm back at you again with another hot topic. We're going to have an interesting time today. But before we get started, this is what I need you to do. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Because here at Open Doors, we're dropping episodes fast and we don't want you to miss out. So when you hit that subscribe button, every episode that drops is coming right to you. So do it now. Hit that subscribe button right now. Don't forget to share this podcast to the people that you know so they can get in on our conversation. All right, let's get started. Today, I want to talk about, for some, it may be a sensitive topic. I want to talk about abortion. And what I want to talk about abortion, as you know, we just had a presidential election. And through the campaigning of that election, from the Democratic side to the Republican side, through the campaigning of that election, there's been this hot topic about abortion, or as some call, reproduction rights. And I want to talk about something in regards to that. But before we do, I want to play this video and then we'll come back and have a discussion.
This woman's doctors wouldn't look her in the eye to tell her she was miscarrying because of Louisiana's abortion bans. Right after the fall of Roe in 2022, when Caitlin Joshua called to make her first prenatal appointment, the receptionist told her she had to wait to be seen until after her first trimester. The clinic didn't want to be liable if their patients miscarried, which is most likely in the first few weeks of pregnancy. This was a pregnancy Joshua and her husband wanted. Having been through miscarriages before, she knew what was happening, so she went to the first hospital. The medical staff confirmed that the fetus had stopped growing and had no heartbeat. But according to Joshua, they wouldn't admit what it was, a miscarriage. Because of Louisiana's total abortion ban, with very few exceptions, the hospital wouldn't help her. Medical staff appeared to be afraid of getting in trouble for helping her despite her pregnancy no longer being viable and being dangerous to her. These laws are not written in a way that reflects medical reality. Joshua was sent home where her symptoms got worse. She was passing tissue and was bleeding heavily. So, soaking through her jeans, the couple went to another hospital the following day. They wouldn't help her either. After a few weeks, Joshua was able to pass the pregnancy at home, a feat no one should have to go through if they don't want to, especially when they need medical intervention, like Joshua did. She wanted help. She did everything she could, and because the law is written in such a vague, non-medical way, she didn't get the help she deserved. I'll leave you with her words.
Should a federal abortion ban be enacted all over this country, stories like mine will be coming all over all 50 states.
All right, so I just played that video and I want to talk to you, and this is what I want to ask you. I want to ask you, should there be some modifications to the abortion ban? Let's just talk about it. Now, as you know, in June 2022, Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. And what it did, it allows the states in the United States of America to pass their own state-led abortion ban. And as we speak right now, I believe there are 13 states in America that have this abortion ban. But I'm asking the question to you, and I just want us to just dive right in. And like I said, for some, this may be a sensitive topic, but I'm asking you this question: should there be modifications? Should there be, and I'll even add this word, should there be exceptions when it comes to the abortion ban on the state level? Now, let's get started. Now, for me as a Christian, where do I stand on abortion? I'm a Christian. I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. Where do I stand on abortion? I believe, as a child of God, I believe abortion is a sin. Let me just start it right there. My viewpoint on abortion is a sin because abortion is taking a life. And when it comes to life, God is the author of life. You know, there is a story in the Bible I just want to give to you as we start this discussion. There is a story in the Bible where Jesus had been seized and Jesus is having a conversation with Pontius Pilate. And Pontius Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you a king?" And Jesus' response to Pontius Pilate is said, "For this reason I was born." Why am I telling you that? Because I believe that God is the author of life. So as God is the author of life, There is a reason for each child as they come into the womb. There is a reason or a cause for each person to be born. And I believe we don't have the right to try to take that life, something that God has given, something that God has brought forth. God has placed a baby in the womb for a reason. God is the author of life. The devil is not the author of life. It is God who ordains when a child should be born. And the reason a child is to be born is because God has an assignment for that child's life. That's where I stand. That's where I stand. I believe God is the author of life. And I believe no matter the situation, this is where I want to go next with you. I believe that no matter the situation, God has ordained for that baby or for that child to come forth for a purpose, for a reason, for an assignment. And the reason I say that because I want to go to the extreme, because a lot of times when we have this conversation, people go to the extreme. I remember having this conversation recently with my wife, and it's a sensitive topic, but here in Open Doors, we can handle it. I remember having this conversation with my wife, and not just my wife, there have been other people I've had this conversation with, and they always go to the extreme. So let's tackle the extreme. And this is what they say. What if, because you say abortion is a sin, what if a person is raped and out of their rape, they become pregnant? What if a person is raped by a family member or uncle, a father, someone in their family, and out of that rape, that person becomes pregnant? So that child is coming forth through an act of incest. We go to the extreme. And let me just say, that's a horrible situation. If someone is raped, if someone is violated, the act itself is horrible. I have that sympathy. I have that empathy. Let's just put it out there. That's a horrible situation. We wouldn't want anyone to go through that situation. But this is what I believe. Even in that, God can raise up a blessing. And this is what I will say to people. Because a lot of times when the extreme happens, and something like that is tragic, and let me say it again, it's so tragic. Like, as I'm sitting here talking about it, if someone, and there have been people who've had to experience that, where they were violated, they were raped, and my heart goes out to that person. That's such a horrible situation. We can't deny that. I can't be someone who sits here and acts like it's not a horrible or turmoil, a horrible ordeal that a person goes through. It is. But in that, a life has come forth. And I said, God is the author of life. And I believe God, through that horrible situation, God can bring forth a blessing to the nations. God can bring forth a woman, a man who will come out of that horrible ordeal, who will change history. But a lot of times when things like that go on, we go to abortion. And abortion to me is murder. We go to killing a life. Why do we always think, let me take this life? Why is that always our thought process when something like that happens? But why don't we think about something else? And that's something else. What about adoption? What about adoption? There are so many people who wish, they pray that God will give them a child, and they can't. I've met women who couldn't carry a child. I met couples who were praying and believing in God that one day they will have a child. But at that moment, they couldn't have one. So you had this tumultuous ordeal, this horrendous thing that happened to you. And it was horrendous. But that baby is a life given from God. And you can't look at that baby and raise that baby knowing what happened to you. I understand that. But why don't you give that baby to someone else to love, someone else to nurture, someone else to shelter, someone up to raise up so that child can be who God has called them to be, because a child is or comes from God. That's what I have to ask. But our mindset is always to take the life, because that's the devil. That's the devil. The devil knows the next Moses is coming. The devil knows the next Jesus is coming. So the devil always wants to rile up people to take a life. Just like he riled up Pharaoh in Egypt. Just like he riled up Herod in the days of Jesus. Because he know that a deliverer is coming. He know that a blessing, a testimony is coming. So let me plant seeds to these people to take a life before it even enters the world. No. Now you may say to me back, say, well, you don't understand because you're a man. You don't understand how to carry that seed in the womb for 9 months, knowing what happened to me. Like I don't, but I'm sympathetic. Like I said, I can just visualize and put myself in your shoes and understand how that's a horrible situation. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not. It's a horrible situation. For anyone who's watching this podcast, if you've been through that, if you know someone who's been through that, you know, I have sympathy, I have empathy. But I believe that if a pregnancy has come forth in that, that's from God. That's from God. Because God takes the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. You know, we were all created from dirt. Dirt we spit on. Let me be a little graphic. Dirt some people urinate on. We throw trash on dirt. But God created you and I from dirt. If you look at the genealogy in the Bible of Jesus Christ, you see adulterers, you see murderers, you see prostitutes, and all these people, their acts that you see in the Bible, we consider that dirt. But out of that dirt of a family, out of that dirt of a genealogy, a Jesus came forth. So God can take our dirt and make it a blessing. That's what I'm saying. God can take our dirt and out of it comes a miracle. So I'm saying that abortion is a sin. It's a sin. It's a sin. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a sin. And we shouldn't always lean to taking a life. But if you can't bear to raise that child, I understand it. If that extreme happened to you, when I was given a scenario of a rape, if that extreme happened to you, or if you feel like you don't have the mental capacity to raise a child, you know, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging anyone. But don't just sit here and say, you know what, I'm not ready to raise a child. Let me kill this life. What happened to me, I can't bear. Let me kill this life. There are so many people who want to be a loving mother. There are men who want to be a loving father. There are couples who just want to be loving parents to a child. That's always the option. That's always the best option. So no to abortion. No to abortion. But with that being said, and this is what I just want to hang on right now. With that being said, with the abortion ban in the 13 states, and maybe there are many more states to come because now it's at the state level, there needs to be modifications to the abortion ban. Because a miscarriage is not an abortion. As you saw in the video, this lady was having complications with her pregnancy. During the Democratic National Convention, they put up their people, and I was listening to them, where they had complications to pregnancies. There were women who were going to the hospital because they were having miscarriages. And the hospital was turning them away because of the full abortion laws in that state. And that's a no-no, because a miscarriage is not abortion. Someone who's having a miscarriage is not going to the hospital because they want to take the life of the seed that's in them. No, someone who's having a miscarriage, they're going because they're having complications with their pregnancy. They want to have their child. They want to deliver their child, but they're having complications with that pregnancy. That's not the same as an abortion. So it should not be treated the same. That's why I'm saying, because there needs to be modifications. There needs to be exceptions to the abortion ban. I know women who had miscarriage. My wife had a miscarriage in 2017. When I was seeing these different videos that popped up, like I said, people talking during the Democratic National Convention, their stories, they were telling their story, what happened, the ordeal. I was thanking God for me and my wife, because she had a miscarriage and she lost the baby, but that's not it. My wife, and we're here in Chicago, we're here in Illinois. My wife had a miscarriage in 2017, and it was horrible. My wife lost the baby. I took her to the hospital. She was bleeding so much. Even when we got to the hospital, half of the placenta came out when we pulled up to the hospital. Not to gross you out or anything, but I just want to show you the graphic nature of that miscarriage. And my wife lost so much blood that on the bed in the hospital room, she passed out. I thought she was dying. She had to get transfusion. They didn't scrape after the miscarriage. She got an infection. She had to go back. And she's still, to this day, having some effects of that miscarriage from 2017. But imagine us, this is why I want to go, imagine us being in a state where there is a ban on everything. She would have died. I was sitting there listening to people's stories. I was sitting here watching this same video, and I was like, I praise God, because my wife went through a miscarriage and lost the baby. She wasn't going to abort the baby. No, we were looking forward to having another child, and she had a miscarriage. A lot of women have miscarriages. It happens. It's unfortunate, it happens. But she was having a miscarriage, and she bled so much that if we were in a state where the ban was and they turned her away, I was just sitting there thinking, like, where would I have gone? She may have died. But we give all glory to God. But there needs to be some, modifications to this, because a miscarriage or some complication to your pregnancy is not the same thing as an abortion. What do you feel about the situation? I would love to hear your comments. Should there be modifications? Should there be exceptions to the abortion ban? Should these, now that it's on the state level, should these state governments take a closer look at this ban and make some changes, some modifications? Talk to me in the comments section. I would love to hear your viewpoint on this topic. Before I get out of here, I want to give a shout out to the Dream Team, Blessed Dreams Production, my boy Alfred, and Eyes Have Not Seen, my sister Marilyn. Remember to connect with me on Instagram, Young King 1982. And until the next time another episode drops here at Open Doors, be blessed. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
And don't ever take nothing for granted, man. Hey, you gotta wake up and realize that it all seem like things.